Let's set the scene. D-Days. June 6, 1944. A crucial battle is falling apart before it even starts. From a warship miles off the coast of France, American General Omar Bradley stares at a nightmare through his binoculars. The beach, codenamed Omaha, is a scene of pure chaos. Landing craft are burning. The surf is red. Hundreds of soldiers are already dead, cut down by German machine guns the moment they stepped into the water. The meticulously crafted invasion plan? It's already ashes. Bradley had promised these men an easier path. Heavy bombers and naval guns were supposed to wipe the German defenses off the map. They were told they'd be facing tired, second-rate troops. None of that was true. And now, with thousands of lives on the line, Bradley faces an impossible choice. Order a full evacuation and admit catastrophic failure, or hope for a miracle he cannot see. What he couldn't see from that ship was the real story unfolding on the sand. It wasn't a story about plans, but about people. Amid the smoke and the deafening roar, individual soldiers and a few extraordinary leaders were about to rewrite the entire day through sheer, stubborn courage. This is the story of how the most desperate hour on D-Day forged a new, unshakable respect between allies who had started the day with deep-seated doubts. To understand the immense pressure on those American troops, we need to rewind. Before a single soldier landed, there was a hidden conflict among the allies themselves. The British High Command, veterans of years of brutal warfare, viewed their American partners with a mix of gratitude and deep anxiety. Senior British officers like Field Marshal Alan Brooke kept private diaries. While he admired America's colossal industrial power, the endless stream of tanks and planes, he had serious concerns about the U.S. military itself. Most American soldiers had never faced the German war machine. Their generals, he feared, were naive about the ferocity of the fighting ahead. This wasn't malice. It was hard-earned caution. The British had seen the French army disintegrate in 1940. They'd been pushed into the sea at Dunkirk. They had learned, through painful losses, to respect German discipline and firepower. Even Prime Minister Winston Churchill harbored fears. Just months before the invasion, he was still questioning the entire plan, suggesting attacks anywhere but the heavily fortified French coast. The British strategy favored wearing Germany down through bombing and other campaigns before direct assault. The American view, championed by General George Marshall, was the opposite. Concentrate maximum force for a decisive knockout blow to end the war quickly. This fundamental clash of philosophies hung over everything. It took the insistence of Soviet leader Stalin at the 1943 Tehran conference to lock in the D-Day date. The British agreed, but their deep-seated question remained. When the terrible moment came, would the young Americans from farms and factories across the U.S. have the discipline and courage to storm a fortified beach held by battle-hardened German veterans? June 6 would be the ultimate test. The tension wasn't just in strategy meetings. It was personal. The relationship between British and American officers was complex. British commanders had been fighting since 1939. They'd endured years of grinding war. American officers, by contrast, were newcomers by comparison, with most seeing combat only from 1942 onward. This experience gap sometimes created a teacher-student dynamic that grated on the Americans. The legendary British General Bernard Montgomery, who commanded all Allied ground forces for D-Day, respected Supreme Commander Dwight Eisenhower. But he also genuinely believed he understood ground combat better. American General Omar Bradley, who served under Montgomery, later wrote he often felt like a poor country cousin. But there was another side. Montgomery toured American camps in England before the invasion. Speaking directly to the troops, he connected with them. The soldiers cheered him. He saw in them a raw, willing spirit. They had crossed an ocean to fight for a continent they'd never seen, driven by a belief that could be powerful if untested. The question for every skeptical observer was simple. Would that belief shatter under fire, or would it hold? The plan for Omaha Beach was built on a series of tragic miscalculations. Intelligence suggested the beach was defended by lower quality, static troops. In reality, the formidable German 352nd Infantry Division, veterans transferred from the Eastern Front, had recently moved in. The plan also depended entirely on air and naval power to soften up the defenses. Both failed. Cloud cover caused Allied bombers to drop their payloads inland, missing the beach defenses completely. The naval bombardment was cut short, lasting only 40 minutes instead of hours. One admiral protested it was a crime to launch such an attack with such weak support. Then came the tanks. Specially designed to swim ashore, 27 of 29 launches sank in the rough Channel seas, drowning their crews. The first American infantrymen to hit the sand at Omaha did so without the air cover, prolonged naval gunfire, or tank support they were promised. They faced an enemy that was stronger, more prepared, and utterly untouched by the bombardment meant to destroy them. The result was a slaughter. German gunners had pre-aimed their weapons at the landing craft ramps. Men died before taking a step on French soil. Others drowned under the weight of their gear. A single company suffered 96% casualties in 10 minutes. By mid-morning, the timeline called for troops to be a mile inland. Instead, survivors were pinned on a 10-yard strip of sand, trapped by the rising tide ahead and murderous fire from the bluffs above. The invasion had stalled. It was, by every logical measure, a failure. This is where the story turns. Into this hell at 7:30 a.m. walked 51-year-old Brigadier General Norman Cota. He was assistant commander of the 29th Division, battling a heart condition and carrying a cane. Cota had actually argued against a daylight landing, warning that tactical surprise was essential. He was overruled. Now, seeing his warnings come true in the worst way, he didn't hesitate. While men hugged the ground, Cota walked upright across the bullet-whipped beach. He moved from one trap group to another, rallying stunned soldiers. He found elements of the Ranger battalions pinned down. When he asked their unit and heard 5th Rangers, his response became immortal. Well, God damn it then, Rangers lead the way. That phrase, born in that moment of utter crisis, will become the Rangers' official motto. Cota wasn't just shouting orders. He was leading. He directed soldiers to blow a gap in the wire obstacles with explosives. When the first man was killed, others froze. Cota didn't. He walked through the breach himself and started climbing the bluff. It was a simple, profound act, a leader sharing the utmost danger. Men saw him, and they followed, not in a coordinated wave, but in small, determined groups. They began to inch forward, not because a plan told them to, but because a general showed them it was possible. As Cota rallied men on the beach, the U.S. Navy performed its own act of desperate bravery. Seeing the catastrophe, destroyer captains took an incredible risk. They steered their large ships perilously close to shore, sometimes within 800 yards, into dangerously shallow water. They began firing directly at the German bunkers on the bluffs, targeting machine gun nests with pinpoint accuracy. They fired until their guns overheated, providing the close-in firepower the bombing had failed to deliver. This naval intervention was crucial, but it was the infantry, now motivated by leaders like Cota, who had to close the deal. Colonel George Taylor of the 16th Infantry Regiment shouted a now famous line to his men. There are two kinds of people who are staying on this beach. Those who are dead and those who are going to die. Now, let's get the hell out of here. Slowly, agonizingly, small groups of Americans began fighting their way up the draws and bluffs. They used grenades, bayonets, and sheer determination to clear enemy positions. By late afternoon, the Omaha beachhead, though narrow and bought at a horrific cost, was secure. The unthinkable evacuation was no longer necessary. The men had saved themselves. While Omaha became a legend of chaos and heroism, another story of leadership was unfolding at Utah Beach, to the west. Here, 56-year-old Brigadier General Theodore Roosevelt Jr., the oldest man and only general to land in the first wave, came ashore with a cane and a bad heart he'd hidden from doctors. His landing craft drifted over a mile off course. Roosevelt made a snap decision that saved the operation. We'll start the war from right here. Instead of forcing his disoriented troops to march to the planned spot under fire, he reorganized the attack on the spot. Calmly walking under fire, he directed each new wave of landing craft to the new starting point. His calm authority in the chaos provided the steadying forces men needed. For this, he would posthumously receive the Medal of Honor. Back at Omaha, the impact of the American stubbornness was psychological as much as military. German defenders, like machine gunner Heinz Severloh, were initially confident, inflicting terrible casualties, but they watched in disbelief as the Americans kept coming. Wave after wave, German positions began to run low on ammunition. The defenders had inflicted losses that should have broken any attack, yet the Americans refused to stop. This relentless pressure shattered German morale in the sector. If these losses couldn't stop them, what could? The aftermath of D-Day saw a profound shift. The British High Command had watched, first with horror and then with growing awe, as the green American troops, particularly the National Guardsmen of the 29th Division, performed with unbelievable tenacity. They didn't win with polished tactics. They won with raw, improvised courage after the plan had utterly collapsed. The respect became official. General Bernard Montgomery personally awarded the British Distinguished Service Order to Norman Cota, a high honor rarely given to foreigners. It was a silent, powerful admission from the British military establishment. American soldiers and officers received other British decorations. The private doubts recorded in diaries like Alan Brooks now had to be weighed against the undeniable evidence of American metal on the sand. The alliance was forever changed. The Americans were no longer the untested junior partners. They had proven they could absorb tremendous punishment and keep fighting. This mutual respect, forged in the worst hours of Omaha Beach, became the bedrock of the Western Allied push to victory. It laid the groundwork for the post-war NATO alliance. Today, the Normandy American Cemetery, with its thousands of white markers overlooking Omaha Beach, stands as the permanent answer to the doubts of that morning. The British had doubted the Americans. Then they watched them fight. And in the smoke, blood, and unwavering resolve of June 6, 1944, doubt was transformed into enduring respect. If this story changed how you think about military technology, hit the like button. Subscribe for more untold military history. And tell me in the comments, have you ever seen a warbird fly in person? What was it like? Thanks for watching.